Neighbors can be tough to deal with. Even in the suburbs, where you have a big yard and the closest neighbor is far enough away that you just forget about them, they still can become intrusive. We all have our Gladys Kravitz, after all. Just recently, I finished building my wife a fire pit for her birthday, and we've got a pretty big yard. It's about a quarter acre. We've got plenty of room for a fire pit, tiki torches, wooden benches, the whole 9 yards. Matter of fact, if you Google fire pit swing, that's what I built her. Now, I sunk a lot of time and a lot of money into this project, and I'm really proud of how it turned out. So I'm looking over this fire pit setup with a beer in hand, just wondering if there's anything else I might be able to do to it to jazz it up a little bit. When the neighbor who backs up to our yard, a neighbor that I haven't talked to in at least 3 years, mind you, appears and says, "Oh, nice fire pit." "Thanks," I told him. "It's for my wife. It's her birthday coming up." He nods and examines it, and I'm just about to start bragging about the hard-to-find expensive stone and all the time I put into it and the fact that I convinced my 5-year-old daughter to help me mix over a ton of concrete, all in a wheelbarrow, when he ever so thoughtfully says, "The only problem is it's actually in our backyard." Now, let me tell you, I know exactly where our backyard ends and where his begins. I've known my entire time living here, since I was 6 years old. So we argue, and he left in a huff. Whatever. And 2 weeks later, I get a letter from the city telling me that it turns out my neighbor's actually right. And what I thought was my backyard actually wasn't. Now, I need to move my fire pit. All that hard work, all that money, right out the window. Now, there's not much worse than being told what's rightfully yours isn't actually yours at all. Frankly, there's nothing really more American than that either. It's enough to make you want to stand up, fight authority. Take back your land, per se. Now, I didn't fight the city's decision. It was really just less hassle for me to move the fire pit. But some people may have. Now, I want you to imagine that you were alive when the country was young. So young that it wasn't even a country yet. America was just colonies, and your loyalty lay strictly with the colony that you lived in. But you still had that drive for more land, even if it resided outside of your colony. There is certainly plenty of it to go around. A man could get rich buying up all that free land and just turning around and selling it. The only thing standing in their way was some Native American tribes and other colonists from other countries who claimed the land was theirs. So, conflict brews, a war begins, and after 7 years of fighting, you and your side have managed to kick those foreign colonists out. Finally, you think. You've fought long and hard, and you've earned that land. It's yours. Except, as it turns out, it's actually not. Even though you fought for it, even though you've sunk money into it, your king, a man an ocean away from you, a man who's never even set foot in your colony, well, he says you can't have it. It's there. It belongs to Great Britain, and you, in fact, are even a British citizen. But you still can't go there. Anything west of the Appalachians and east of the Mississippi, even though you helped win it fair and square, the British government says that they are the only ones that get to deal with that land. Now, I didn't fight for the couple of feet in my backyard that I lost. After all, it only affected me. But the American colonies were a small community. And in small communities, word spreads. And a lot of these people were still very invested in moving west. Now, to the British government, the proclamation line of 1763 was as big a deal as moving my fire pit a few feet back was to my neighbor. Neither was expecting a fight. I certainly didn't start one. But for the American colonists, however, it was enough to spark a revolution.